Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to talk to you about how to study grammar effectively. Now this is quite an important topic because if you're studying grammar in the wrong way, it can lead to you spending way more time on any particular topic than you really need, which can lead to you becoming really frustrated and feeling like you're not making any progress, which makes you want to give up. So it's important to do the right things, because you'll get more progress, you'll progress more quickly, and it'll boost your self-esteem as well. So today I want to share with you some of my best tips to make sure that you're studying grammar in the most effective way. My name's Rob, and for the past 5 years I've been teaching English as a second language in Spain. I've also learned several languages myself, Spanish, French and Russian, so I've got a bit of perspective on what works and what doesn't, and in today's video I want to share some of that perspective with you so that you can become a more effective language learner. Here on My English Teacher Rob, we're all about helping you to become more fluent and confident in English. So if you like what you see today, do hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you find out when I upload new content. All of the advice that I'm going to give you today is based around 3 basic ideas, which is that you need to have the right frequency, the right quality of practice, and the right duration in your study. Based on this, my first tip is that you want to practice little and often. If you're studying for 6 hours a day, you're just going to get frustrated, you're going to burn out, and you're not going to remember a great deal of what you've learned anyway, so it's not the most effective way. It's about intensity of study and about the level of your focus. The best way to get that is by studying for 45 minutes to an hour a day. Use spaced repetition. If you don't know what spaced repetition is, go and Google it after this video. Always finish what you're working on, because you don't want to end up with lots of topics that are sort of half studied that you plan to finish later on but never get around to. You know what I'm saying, right? The second thing you want to do is identify your focus points. Don't just study, whatever. Don't just open the grammar book randomly and study what you think will work. Find out specifically what it is that you need for your particular situation. If you're studying for an English exam, look at the text, look at the list of topics that is provided in the textbooks for your exam, and identify which of those areas you're likely to have the most trouble with. This is called using the 80-20 rule. I'll make another video about that at some point, but basically look for the topics that are going to cause you, particularly, the most difficulty. Find yourself a teacher who is very good with grammar, have them assess you and listen to you speaking, and at the end of your conversation they can give you a list of the grammar areas that you have difficulties with, so that you can include study of those areas in your practice. Definitely, before you study any grammar, to avoid wasting your time, ask yourself, do I really need this? Is this going to be useful? Am I going to use it? Will I be tested on this? And so on. My third piece of advice is to learn from multiple inputs. Don't just use one textbook. Get a couple of different textbooks, or better yet, get 3 textbooks. Use YouTube, search for a video explanation of the topic that you're learning. Search for further information online. Look for examples. When you study grammar in this way, you're going to get a much deeper understanding of the topic, which means you're more likely to remember it and know how to use it later on. Personally, I will always use at least 2 textbooks. I'll watch a video on YouTube, and I'll have a look for some further explanation online. My fourth piece of advice today is to make notes. Reformulate the information in your own words. Now, you can do parts of this in your own language if you feel more comfortable, but it's really best to keep it all in English. Make yourself some index cards, or write it on a piece of paper. However you take your notes is up to you, but make it easy for you to understand. Highlight the most useful aspects of that grammar topic, so that when you come back to it later on, you can understand it instantly, refresh what you know, and also you can use that as a tool and take it to your lessons with you, or when you meet with a speaking practice partner. Something that you should add to this are examples of your own ideas that you can imagine yourself saying, putting the new grammar into use. Don't just use the examples that are in the textbook, because they're usually either going to be a bit boring or a bit forced or sound a bit unnatural. The point of learning the grammar is to be able to express your own ideas. If you can formulate your own ideas using the new grammar, you're much more likely to remember them later on. My fifth piece of advice is to actively look for natural occurrences of that grammar topic in real life. Listen out for native speakers using it. Look for examples of it in the newspapers or in the books that you're reading. I've often been surprised after studying a grammar topic in Spanish, for example, to hear it literally an hour later in the street or in a conversation with a friend. They've been using this structure all the time and I just didn't notice it, right? It was the act of reading the grammar that drew my attention to it. This is something that you should definitely take advantage of. Read the topic, make sure you understand it, and then listen and look for it, because when you hear it in context, it's going to make more sense to you. This will help to reinforce what you've learned. My last piece of advice today, and this is without a doubt the most important one, is find or make opportunities for yourself to practice the new structures that you've learned. This is going to be easier for some of you than others depending on where you're located. I mean, you could either move to another country, which is what I did. You could attend language exchange events in your area, you know, Google language exchange and the name of your city. You can search Facebook to see if there are any groups on there. What I used to do when I was in Spain was I would study the pages of my textbook with one of my housemates present so that I could practice there in the moment and ask them for additional information, explanation, context. The explanation's down the left here. Then I'm doing these exercises on the right. And then I'm harassing Manuel, who sat over here on the right, and he's been a really good sport and he's helping me with all the answers. I read my sentences and he tells me that sentence sounds really good, and then he gives me a thumbs up. I could ask them for advice about the examples that I'd written. La cara dura de amigo que es Paco nos da siempre plantón. ¿Esto suena bien?
El cara dura.
El cara dura.
Porque estás hablando de Paco, no estás hablando de su cara.
Ah, así que...
El cara dura.
Porque Paco es masculino. Así que tiene que ser... Ah, vale. Ok, gracias.
De nada.
Gracias, profe.
De nada. Consulta siempre al tío Manuel.
But I do appreciate that not everybody has access to these things, though I'm assuming that if you're watching this video you do have access to a stable internet connection, so you could book a one-to-one class with a native speaker of English online, or a high-level speaker for that matter, using a platform such as italki or Verbling or Off2Class. On these sites you can find a teacher for a one-to-one lesson and ask them for advice and explanation of the grammar that you've been learning. Take your notes to the class with you. When you one-to-one with somebody who's going to be helping you out with your grammar, you want to be asking them questions about the context. You should say, what does this mean? When is it used? Can I use it in this situation? You want to ask about the sentences that you've written. Are these correct? Do they sound natural? Could I change them to make them sound better? Ask them about the meaning. Does it mean this? Can it be interpreted in other ways? Does it have any other meanings that I haven't mentioned so far? Ask them about the frequency. By frequency I mean how often would a native speaker say this, and when would they say it? Oftentimes I'd be flicking through pages of my Spanish textbook and I would ask my housemate about the expressions that were in there, and if they ever told me that sounds a bit strange, I've never heard that before, this is usually a sign that that expression is not in common use. Then I would cross out that expression and I wouldn't bother learning it. My question for you guys today then is, what advice would you give that you think would help other language learners to learn grammar more quickly and effectively? Put it in the comments below the video. This is the My English Teacher Rob channel, where we're all about helping you to become more fluent and confident in English. So if you found this video useful today, here's another one up here for you. Hit the subscribe button before you leave and turn on notifications to find out about videos next time I upload something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.